EXP's CEO Leo Pareja, here's his thoughts, which I believe contradict precisely his position on some of these other, where he's taken the stance and gone further on broker to broker compensation. This is Byron, Lazine, and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 334 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
NAR is back up into the spotlight as they meet this Thursday.
Have they ever not been in the spotlight? I think we have yet to.
They've not been in the spot, not for the last few years. They've been hogging the spotlight for quite some time.
Yeah.
And Thursday and Friday, they're center stage again as they meet in Chicago. They're going to be talking about clear cooperation. So we're going to dig into that first, and then maybe we'll get to this Redfin report around commissions here the first month in since the August 17th switch. They've got some data that they're reporting. But first, let's get to this clear cooperation NAR meeting Thursday, Friday. Now, let's be clear. The NAR committee, which I believe is 23 members, Nicole. Yeah, the board includes, so it takes place in Chicago. It will include the organization's Emerging Issues Advisory Board. Remember, NAR has a whole bunch of boards, a litany of them. It's a subgroup of NAR's MLS committee. So they've got committees, subgroups. They just got groups upon groups upon groups.
Of course, why not?
Yeah, this board includes 23 members. They work as brokers, MLS executives, among other things. So it's a mix from the industry. The meeting is closed to the public. They can invite interested parties to submit comment, but it's kind of just like it's a private club. Okay, it's like this. Remember the Soho Club in Malibu?
Yeah, remember, we got in. We got in though. It wasn't that private. We got to sneak in.
Supposed to be private. We somehow got in.
We had no idea.
It's like that. You've got to be invited in, or you've got to be a member on this board. Now, the meeting could lead to a variety of outcomes, reports Inman. Okay, the board could, for example, opt to send the issue to the MLS committee to take some court of action or to some other governing body within NAR. It could also choose continuing gathering information. And it could also decide, let's kick it to the NAR NXT conference, which will take place in Boston. So they could do nothing. They could kick it to another committee. They could kick it to the next conference, whatever. There's a lot of options, I guess, that they could do. So clear cooperation, just backing up. DOJ is against clear cooperation. NAR, I think it was 5 years ago, Nicole, implemented clear cooperation, which is not the same thing that just switched on, August 17th, where, there's some brokerages saying they will not do broker to broker compensation. Clear cooperation, broker to broker compensation, and then having an offer in the MLS. We know that went away. These are all different buckets. Okay, so clear cooperation is basically the pocket listing ban, right? So 5 years ago, give or take, NAR said all listings that Realtors take must go on the MLS. Can't keep it in your pocket. Can't, do these off-market deals. Okay. Now when that was presented, that was overwhelmingly passed. It was not, NAR's, the committee that passed that, it was overwhelmingly passed. Okay. Interestingly enough, the survey in anticipation of this meeting, the WAV group conducted a survey on this clear cooperation. It was 670 responses, so pretty healthy.
Yep.
Survey. Members of brokerages, MLS leadership, MLS staff. According to a statement on the survey, 28% of respondents recommend keeping the rule as is. So that means 72%, the majority, want the rule either changed or to remove the policy. So quite the flip in the last 5 years. Critics would argue, like Gary Gold has been quoted as saying, that, why don't you treat agents like adults? We could have pocket listing.
Right. Yeah.
And then people who support a pocket listing say that it, can hurt certain communities, it can hurt certain buyers. There's not access. You want to have a marketplace with full access. We've been operating under this rule now for nearly 5 years. Have you, we've commented on this in the past, but have you changed your opinion? Where are you today after all the changes that have been in the industry? Should this be changed? Should it go away completely? Should it be changed? Do you like the rule? Where are you today, September 2024, on clear cooperation?
I don't really know where I ever have been.
You
Do you
don't know where you've ever been on this?
No, I mean, because I still think it's very much up to the seller, like, if they don't wanna be on MLS,
That
think
means you
about
don't like the rule.
you're right, well, it just I feel like that just makes the most sense, right? I mean,
If you think it should be up to the seller, that
100% up to
that
the
they should
seller.
have the option of going off market, then that means you do not like clear cooperation and you think the rule should go away.
I think the rule should absolutely go away.
All right. So then you do know where you are.
Yeah, I guess I just don't really know that I've ever really, like, voiced it, and we have, like, documentation of,
Oh
like
yeah. I mean, we could go back. I think
I'm
we've
sure we
definitely voiced it.
can.
Hopefully you're not contradicting yourself. I don't think you are. I think we've both landed in the
No,
same place on this.
but there's still I mean, let's be honest, right in our marketplace, there's sellers that don't wanna be on the MLS, for one reason or another, whether it's,
Let-
like, privacy or, maybe it's a higher end home and they only want, certain people through, so, um, it just
Yeah,
seems silly.
we've covered the reasons. There's a variety of reasons why a seller might choose the strategy and negotiate the strategy of keeping their home off of the MLS, yet being an active seller to some
Right,
degree, or even to a large degree. Depends on how they want to go about it. Here's where, here's where there's some contradiction happening in the industry. Okay. And I'm going to go to EXP's CEO, Leo Pareja, who, we did the big live together when he said, hey, broker to broker cooperative compensation, he said, should be eliminated, even though it's still protected in the settlement. Um, Here's his thoughts, which I believe contradict precisely his position um, on some of these other, where he's taken the stance and gone further on broker to broker compensation. Here's a quote in this Inman piece that completely contradicts that stance. And maybe I'm taking him out of context. Maybe, I'm misreading this quote, but he says, I fundamentally believe in organized real estate and how it functions in North America. So EXP, huge brokerage, CEO, fundamentally believes in organized real estate and how it functions in North America. We have complete, accurate, liquid marketplace, which is the beauty of the MLSs. Leo believes that clear cooperation should remain, that there should be a ban on pocket listings. Yet on the other side, the August 17th issues says broker to broker compensation, even though protected in the NAR settlement, should never be allowed. And we won't allow it at EXP. Well, you just said that you believe organized real estate.
right,
Organized real estate would speak more to broker co-op compensation, which is allowed in the settlement. DOJ hasn't made any, other ruling on that. Maybe they will in the future. Got it. Know you want to be protected from litigation. Me and Leo have had that discussion, and I respect Leo tremendously. But these are contradicting statements. If you believe in organized real estate, then what don't you believe in about broker to broker compensation? Okay, if a seller decides that they want to pay one broker and have the broker offer something to the other side, that seems pretty organized. That
right.
seems strategic even for some sellers. But yet, when it comes to pocket listings, now we have this belief in organized real estate. I don't know. Am I pulling strings here? Am I misrepresenting what he's saying? Am I kind of going a little too far on this, Nicole? Or what do you think?
No, I 100%, I 100% agree with you.
Leo's not the only one that is against it. Our buddy over at 1000 Watt, Brian Boero, put out a paper on Friday saying that clear cooperation should stand. It should be fought for. He says that companies such as Zillow have created big consumer audiences around MLS data and earned significant parts of the revenue by referring um, leads to agents, and they have an incentive to preserve clear cooperation. I think some agents would argue, say, well, that's a reason why I don't want clear cooperation.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
Now, he also says some of the big brokerages, here's one of the things that people fear. It seems like big brokerages support doing away with clear cooperation because you
But I
got
mean,
more
at the end of the day,
agents.
isn't it just up to the seller? Like, that's where I'm so confused. Like, I'd like to think that if that is that if that is the strategy that the agent is doing, it's because that's what the seller
Well,
wants.
we're certainly giving if we're going to keep clear cooperation, which we know the DOJ is against, so the DOJ might come in here and do something there anyways. But um, if the seller now no longer has the option to offer something on the MLS, they do not have an option if they're working with a real estate professional to have a great local professional has connections like, oh, I want a strategy of being off market. Like you are really regulating homeowners on how they can sell their property.
Right.
And the whole thing was like they should have more options. There should be more of a negotiation to the type of experience that they want. To me, you start to limit their options. Clear cooperation already limited a major option, a major strategic advantage that sellers had and could deploy. Like, hey, if you're looking for aspirational pricing, if you're super luxury in your market, you're very unique. Maybe you built a moat around your house
Hmm.
and you just don't know how many buyers you're going to have. Working with an agent who has deep connections, both inside market and outside of market, and going off market, going pocket, having a 6-month strategy that as an agent that you use to leverage with your seller to get the word out there before racking up DOM, to me is just an option I want on the table. I want to discuss if
100%.
I'm that seller.
Right.
Okay. If I've done some weird things to the property and I just don't know what kind of response I'm going to get or traffic. I don't want to waste DOM until I've maybe gone out and done a little bit of testing. That's where you start to restrict sellers' ability, and really the people who are against removing clear cooperation want to see clear cooperation remain. You keep hearing them talk about it from mostly an industry perspective. They are mentioning, everybody should have full access to the market. Um, and so I don't know what about that argument where consumers, buyers don't have full access to the market
I
without
feel like
clear cooperation?
I feel like it's almost it's almost similar to, like, everyone getting, like, an award at a soccer game or you know what I mean? Like, it's just that's not how life, like, needs to be. Like, it can't I just again, it all comes down to because again, in this marketplace, there have been people that have not put it on MLS because they are more concerned about their privacy. Not to say that that agent hasn't sent emails out to other agents letting them know about the listing. I mean, she's doing what she's supposed to be doing for marketing purposes, but if someone legitimately wants to try to keep their privacy, I just it just seems so silly to me. Like, it doesn't mean that because like you want access to that house and feel like you're being robbed of that access, that you then get the access and make the seller have to bend out of their comfort zone just to make sure that you have like access. I don't know. It just is the whole thing sounds so silly, you know? Like,
Yeah. And we'll see what the DOJ, I mean, they're interested in clear cooperation. They were interested in a participation rule, meaning you have to make that offer on the MLS. That's gone away. Obviously there's probably going to be, we've covered what's going on there. There's probably going to be a battle that goes to the Supreme Court between DOJ and NAR. And I'm just on the side now after everything that's been done, after all the different changes, what's best for consumers. And so if we boil it down to that, certainly you can make an easy argument that keeping clear cooperation removes options and advantages and strategies for sellers. Okay. And on the buy side, to your point, like, is everything should be equal or not equal? And there's this, thought that, everything should be on a centralized location like the MLS. Is it bad for, buyers to, not have everything showing in one place? A couple things there. Well, it's not bad for the buyers that have an agent
Who has access?
working pocket listings and working
Right,
off market data. Do you have a door opener, or do you have a professional buyer agent representing you, turning over every opportunity in the market that has deep relationships? Relationships matter, right? Like, if relationships don't matter in this business,
right.
then just put a door code on everybody's door and go at it from there. If negotiation and strategy and all these things don't matter, then yeah, we're at a place where, boy, things are heading for some trouble quickly. The other thing that this does, clear cooperation, and I've said this is where all the power is anyways. Your local boards are worthless at this point without the tie-in agreement, but all the power continues to be centralized on the MLSs. They run everything.
Right.
And if you keep clear cooperation, you give them more of that power over you. And so, listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, Nicole.
No?
Would you call me a conspiracy theorist?
I don't know.
I'm definitely not. But I could see backroom conversations like, hey, let's make sure clear cooperation sticks. Let's make sure these tie-in agreements stick.
Right.
I'm not saying that could happen in Chicago in the back halls or DC between NAR member. I mean, I'm not saying that could
No, no,
happen.
of course not.
Allegedly, it could, though. If you could come up with a theory that might be the case. Okay. So I want sellers to be able to choose. You want sellers to be able to choose. Here's some more supporters. It's Chicago-based MLS, Midwest, Bright MLS. They backed the policy back in 2019. Glenn Kelman was a prominent voice in favor. Austin Board of Realtors were against. Mauricio was against. I mentioned Gary Gold. Who
Yeah.
else? Compass CEO Robert Refkin. He's very much against. He's been against it the whole way through. So the argument is that consumers, especially minorities and those without powerful social networks, were effectively blocked from considering certain homes or neighborhoods.
I mean, but let's be honest. I mean, how often is that the best strategy for a seller? Probably not very often, where you're going to be completely blocked out of an entire neighborhood. Like, I can't even foresee that, like, let's be honest. Like, how many times do you really feel as though it's in the seller's best interest to not be on the MLS?
No, yeah, 100%. And consumers generally on both sides will benefit from having all listings available to
Absolutely.
them in one place, which means consumers generally will make the decision to be in that marketplace, to be an active participant
Right.
in that marketplace. It's a powerful marketplace. Why would you
Not.
not be there?
Right.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
but not everybody's products on Amazon, even though that's the biggest marketplace in America. Some are going to say, you know what? We're just not, able to produce that much inventory. We're not going to go. We're going to sell direct to customer. We don't want to give the fee. We have a different model, right? Like, what if, Nicole, every single seller of a consumer good was mandated to only be on Amazon? Okay,
Right.
you'd
And
create
they
an
had to, if they made something, they had to, you know? Like, it's like
you'd create an even deeper monopoly of Amazon. And what we're doing here with clear cooperation is pushing all the power, all the monopolistic advantage to the MLS.
right.
Okay, and I've said this. This is where all the power is. It's in the MLSs. I think of that scene in Billions when Bobby Axelrod and Wags are looking over at the bankers at that conference, and the bankers are all out of shape, a little belly hanging over the belt buckle, and they're chucking it up and they're stuffing their face with pork and drinking whiskey and just like not a care in the world are the bankers. They're not out there like the hedge funds fighting. They got, the regulators coming after them all the time. And Axelrod's looking over and he's like, those damn bankers, they got it so easy. Like when I go to a conference, I see all the MLS people. I'm like, those MLS people got it easy. They're like, they don't look like they have a care in the world.
Now I feel like I need to watch the show again.
Oh my God.
It's time.
All right. Let us know your thoughts. That's most important. How do you feel? It's been a debate going on 5 years. We've been in practice on this for 5 years. So it's not like it's new, but now it's taking center stage. There's pressure that's seemingly flipped the last 5 years to change this rule at least or completely remove it. Where do you sit? Nearly 5 years later, it's been in practice here for a while. There's been a lot of change since then. Let us know in the comments where you sit. All right, Redfin's got a little bit of news. We'll cover this quickly. Now that these new NAR rules are just under almost a month in, Redfin reports that it is putting pressure on commissions in competitive markets, okay, which is something that seemed pretty obvious. If
Of
you have
course.
tight markets, then there's going to be more pressure. But the Redfin agents say most sellers are willing to cover some fees. So here's
Yep.
the big points coming out of this report. Buyers are confused about signing an agreement before a home tour. So buyers are showing confusion. And buyers typically, have they always been confused a little bit?
Oh boy.
Buyers seem to have the most confusion. This is an opportunity for buyer agents and great agents to find a way to articulate this in a very simple way. I like buyer forms that are more simplistic than others.
Yeah.
Listen, there's never going to be a buyer form that's signed that a buyer can't get out of if they really want to get out of it.
Right.
The biggest change, Redfin reports, buyers and sellers are negotiating over who pays the buyer agent and how much they're paid. This is especially true in luxury. Okay, that's no different to me, Nicole. Luxury always has the most negotiation on commission.
Of course.
Yeah, you know better than anybody there.
It's sounding again, I mean, in the article, it's talking about, again, kind of like what we've always talked about, like, is it a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? And that's obviously dictating the percentage that a seller is even willing to then offer, if any at all, too. So, I think we're gonna see, like, instances of this for obviously forever. Um, and
Yeah,
again, I think that with the market sort of shifting in different areas, I think we'll continue to certainly see it. And who knows? I mean, they're saying that the commission rate could go down, but I mean, we could very easily argue that it could potentially go up too, for the buyer side.
and then here's the last point out of this. Even though negotiations are becoming more common, most sellers are willing to help cover the buyer agent fees. Has that been your experience thus far, a few weeks in?
Of course. I mean, every agent that I've spoken to, I don't even have to necessarily ask. Usually they're willing to just offer out that the seller is. So I've yet to be personally in a situation that a seller is not willing to cover
Yeah.
the buyer broker fee.
Yep. All
Yeah.
right. Let us know your thoughts on that. Those are the early signals coming out of that Redfin report. I think, it's worth considering as we move forward to take a look at, what are agents saying? What's the sentiment out there, and what is the early signs? But I think most of our intuitions have been clocking in as pretty close to accurate on the predictions. Clear cooperation, that's a whole nother game. We'll see what happens. We'll see what Thursday and Friday. You know, there'll be leaks in those meetings. There's not really ever an NAR meeting at this
Ironclad
point
meeting.
where there's not multiple leaks. So we'll hear about that, even though it's not open to the public. I'm sure we'll get reports on that and be able to update on next week's pod. Let us know what you think. If you're getting value out of the Real World Pod, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Make sure that you also grab your tickets to BAM Mania. We're almost a month away from BAM Mania in Las Vegas at Circa. Go to bammania.com. BAMX members, you get 25% off of the ticket price. You can use code REALWORD to get into BAMX right now to secure your 25% off your BAM Mania tickets. Take advantage of all of that. Nicole, I heard you're going to be working the BAM booth at BAM Mania.
Am I? What's the date again? I should put it in my calendar.
October 17th and 18th.
17th.
That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
I guess you'll have to go and see.
All right. That's it. We'll keep it real, guys, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
With August 17th approaching, it is more important than ever for agents to keep their clients, not just for the transaction, but for life. So I believe so much in what Reminder Media is doing. They're creating content that allows you to stay in front of your sphere of influence, the clients that you've transacted with in the past, so that they think of you first when they have a referral, when they have another transaction. A lot of people send a just sold or a just closed realtor talk mail. Reminder Media supports agents like Nicole, my co-host on The Real Word, in building out an authentic magazine where you can advertise your own properties. Here's an example of our award-winning luxury new development that we have in Connecticut. Put it right on the back and put in a whole bunch of relevant information. You can build out the content inside of your magazine and send it to maybe people you're following up with to get a listing, or people who are in your database right now who know you but might just forget about you because you're mixing in with all the postcards from the other agents. Reminder Media keeps you top of mind with the people that you want as clients for life. That's why we believe in so much of how they're helping agents just like you stand out. Go to remindermedia.com/BAM sample. Remindermedia.com/BAM sample today to get your sample and start reminding your clients exactly who you are today. At BAMX, we listen to what real estate professionals want and need. That's why our platform is filled with sought-after courses, content, and tactical assets for your business. And that's why we launched BAMX in a box with templates and scripts done for you, delivered each Friday. The best part? It's not coming from panel pontificators who bought their followers and don't sell any real estate. It's coming from top agents, team leaders, and content creators in the industry. It's education that actually shows you how to do what you need in today's market. And now it includes editable templates and scripts so you can easily deliver that knowledge to your database. Every day, we continue to add more content into BAMX, into our private Facebook community, content that works, content that our members have exclusive access to daily. So do not wait any longer. Use code REALWORD and join the thousands of agents taking their business to the next level today. Code REALWORD for 10% off. I'll see you in BAMX.